difference between the mind and physical. So you're clear what the Ho'oponopono is about. It's not about using medication, not about using herbs, not about doing any of that. So I'm just going to draw a picture on the board so you're clear as to what the Ho'oponopono is all about. So let's look at a cell. Let's call this the cell. And you know, if you know a little bit about anatomy, it's got stuff in it. Yeah. And so now what we're paying attention to, is the fact that the cell has a mind of its own. So I'm going to draw the mind of the cell. I'm going to do it this way. This is you. This is the four cells, the divine creator, and now I'm going to give it a different name. I'm going to call it the Father, Mother, and the child. And this relationship is the most important relationship in creation, not between your biological, but within yourself, between the conscious and the subconscious. It's the most important relationship in the world, in creation. So I'm going to look at this. So now, let's look at the cell in terms of the mind. So around the cell is the subconscious. And this subconscious is over here. So if there is data in here called memory, the memory will be here. Okay? So I'm not talking about the cell itself. Then the next thing around the cell is the conscious mind. This is the mind of the cell. So this is a conscious mind here like that. And then finally, is this safe to use? Finally, the superconscious mind. And this superconscious mind is here. And the rest of it is here. So this is only one cell. So here it is. So now, what we want to do is, if the cell is cancerous, that is a cell. By the way, what is the definition of cancer? Can somebody be really clear? Don't give me bullshit. It's late afternoon. Just give me a clear definition of a cancer cell. Sir, can you give me a clear definition of a cancer cell?
No.
No. That's still wonderful. He's not going to wait. Uh-oh, somebody may think that. Yeah.
Isn't it a cell that's just stopped doing what it's supposed to do?
What does that mean? Like, for example. That's a good start. What is it?
That's a good start. That's where I'm going to end it, though.
A cancer cell is a cell not itself. A cancer cell is a cell not itself. It's not itself. So here's what happened. The reason you would have a cancer cell is because this memory is playing, and the memory creates a cell being shriveled. But it's the memory doing it, that's not in the cell. So this is the cause, and you have to be clear about this. The cell only exists as an effect. The cell only exists as a fact of information in the subconscious. It cannot exist otherwise. Okay, so now you're looking to work on cancer cell. Well, you're not going to pay attention to the effect. You want to go to the cause, which is the subconscious. So how do you deal with that? Well, you do I love you, but no, the mother aspect of the mind must be willing to initiate it. In other words, she's stuck in there. So the mother aspect of the mind is so critical, because it's the mother who's going to decide whether to hold on or to let go. So let's say the mother decides to let go. She says, I love you. So now I love you, immediately, automatically, it goes downward, upward, upward. And it does the same thing here. So the mother becomes 100% responsible. It goes down into the child, up into the superconscious, up into the divinity. See it? This is the divinity. So now you're saying, I love you. So now the answer comes. The answer comes spiritually, mentally, physically. Same thing here. This is the cell you're working on. The effect comes down like that, erases that. Begins the process of erasing that. Erasing it. Erasing it. Erasing it. Now you're back to 0. 0, 0, 0, 0. And the same thing here. Now once the effect goes back to 0, it then finds itself back at 0. It says, this is who I am. I'm perfect. And then as the cell goes into 0, as Joe Vitale is saying, then it receives the inspiration from the divinity, and now it's perfect. So it's an enlightened cell. And that's what the Ho'oponopono is about. It's not about working on your body. It's about working on the child aspect that suffers. See? And all you have to do is say, I love you, is one process. Another process which also says I love you, but it's a different facet, but it says the same thing. Thank you is saying I love you. The same, but you have a crystal that has different aspect of I love you, because God is love, yeah? Up here. God is love. So no matter what process you use, it's love. So now you have the Ha process that you can do. If you're going to New Zealand, return to New Zealand like Robin and Rose, if it's 9-hour flight, all they have to do is do this every hour. So before I leave for New Zealand, I'm at Kahului Airport. I do one set of Ha. Now where are you going, Robin? Where do you go from? Rose, where do you go from Kahului? You go to Honolulu? Aye. So now you do another round. So you get you to Honolulu. Now you're going to do 9 rounds. And as you do, you're going back, you will never have jet lag. Zilch. Because when you go back free. It's called 0. So your cell, because you're 0, 0, 0, the cell is back at 0. It cannot have jet lag. Now it becomes enlightened. And as long as Rose and Robin are cleaning and doing their Ha, they will never experience jet lag. If you have depression, you can't experience. Depression is a lack of divine energy in you. So before you get really depressed, you should be breathing. Before you get really depressed, you should be drinking your water. It's called prevention. You don't want to wait until you get stuck in the data and start cleaning, because you won't. It's too late. So the idea is to be preventative. You want to always prevent. It's kind of like a good basketball team. Prevent, prevent, prevent. So the next one is the Y, the blue solar water. Look, now you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the other one is Hawaii. Joe Vitale, you've got a few. Where's my friend Joe? Why don't you come and write some up here? Joe Vitale's car. Yeah. So you'll watch, because Joe Vitale is going to write some for you that you can use.
There's a reason that you have my business card, and it's not because I'm trying to promote myself. You all probably know where my website is and the office phone number. It's because when I first made this and I showed it to Dr. Hulen, he said it was a cleaning device. Now again, this is him speaking what he feels is inspiration, and he said that whatever was going on, that I can just write it down, I can sweep this across it, I can sweep it across me, by holding it, by giving it out, that I was cleaning. And so you all have a cleaning device right now, this one. He also had said that, and this does sound crazy, doesn't it? Some of this. As you all laugh nervously, yes. You know? You want to know how crazy this is? When he and I were here this morning and we were walking around and we were talking, we were checking out the room and talking to the walls, crazy enough in itself, right? He said, do you have a little tickle in your throat? And I said, yeah, I've been clearing my throat all morning. He says, I have too. He says, that's space being dust. I said, what? That is some space, as far as I understand, I might be misquoting him, space being dust that is part of the programming that is here that we are clearing through our voice. As we are speaking today, we are clearing space being dust. Now, this is not out of my mentality. This is not in my frame of reality. But I'm just going with it. And it's the same thing when I hand you a business card and I say, he says it's a clearing device. I'm just going with it. Okay? When he says that the name of the company that makes that car, which is Panoz, P-A-N-O-Z, is actually a clearing device name. And it's pronounced, if you want to pronounce it right, it's Pay-Nose. Pay-Nose, like P-A-Y. And then N-O-S-E. Pay-Nose is how you would pronounce that. Some of you know that occasionally Dr. Hulen has given people what I'll call spiritual names. And those he's often been hired in the past to come up with a name for a company, to come up with a name for a person. And he will be in a meditative state, and he will allow divinity to inspire him with a name. Shortly after I met him, I asked him if he would do that for me. And I was more curious than anything. I'm fine with my name. I like my name. And I was just curious, what kind of name would he come up with if he went into meditation and he allowed it to come through? And he came up with the name that most of you, how many read my blog? Yeah, a great deal of you. You know I sign off with this. I never explain what it is, but it's Ao Akua. He's not correcting me, so I guess I said it all right. A-O-A-K-U-A. Ao Akua. Now, when I asked him what that meant, it was really beautiful. I actually looked it up in a couple Hawaiian books, and these are words that are being placed together to mean something. The definition that I was given that I understand means the parting of the clouds to see God. Now, this is so relevant, because what was I saying earlier about what this whole purpose is to go back to the whiteboard, to go back to zero. Space being dust coming off of him right now. So did you hear him coughing? To go back to zero, and that what's getting in the way of all of this are nothing but thoughts. Even as you're sitting here, behind your thoughts, behind your feelings, behind your emotions is zero, is just the witness. So Ao Akua would be watching those thoughts go by, the parting of the thoughts, the parting of the clouds. What do you see? Divinity. Ao Akua. Powerful cleaning device. Bruce wanted a reminder. Powerful reminder. Right there. Ao Akua. Yes. Co-author on Eat and Grow Rich.
Yeah, that must have seemed pretty strange. I'm a diabetic, and my blood sugar was really low. I was about to pass out, and I thought, okay, no problem. Lisa went to get the blood testing. I put a little candy in my mouth, and Joe said, Bill, would you like to talk for a minute? And my mind is blank. I'm like, what is he talking about? Oh, and I'm listening to the story. I'm like, oh, that story. Sorry about that guy. So I do want to tell that. I've always been the skeptical, and I first discovered Joe from his Nightingale Conant audio program, and I could probably tell you an hour about the miracles that happened that led to us meeting and doing things together. But I remember when I ordered spiritual marketing from Amazon.com, and I got the book expecting more marketing stuff. And I start reading this book, and Joe's talking about talking to angels, and I'm like, talking to angels? No, this is not what I'm interested in right now. And I put it aside. At the time, I'd come out of the music business and was actually driving a limo around while I was writing my first book. I went from the back of the limo to the front of the limo. And 9/11 happened. And think about it, I was doing airport transport. 9/11 was my last day in the limo business. And suddenly, I didn't have a job, I didn't have a car, I had a house, and I had a lot of credit card companies suddenly that were so friendly before were upset with me. And I thought, well, maybe I'll read that Joe Vitale book again and try this angels thing. And I sat down and did the exercises and did the 5 steps, and Joe said, get very specific about what you want, what kind of car you want, what kind of job you want, what kind of things. Well, I didn't, I'm a guy, I didn't follow the instructions perfectly, so I got 2 piece of crap cars in about 24 hours. And it's like, I got 2 cars, that's what I'd asked for. Then I got very specific, and I don't know how many cars it's been now, Joe, 7 or 8 I've attracted using your stuff. So Joe and I have become friends, and I don't know why I still remain skeptical at times of this stuff, but met Dr. Len when we did the dinner in Austin, and Zero Limits since then. And Joe gave me an advance copy of the book, and I started reading it. And it's like, you know, there's part of this that really appeals to me. Part of it I'm not so sure about. But I sat down, and I'm an internet marketer. I sell e-books, and Joe and I have written books together. And I said, well, let's just see what happens. Because basically, Joe just made the comment earlier. He says, you don't have to set goals. You don't have to set tasks. Just do the stuff in front of you, and it'll come to you. So I said, okay, let's see how this works. And so I'm, thank you. Please forgive me. I love you. I'm sorry. Just doing it. I asked Joe, what order do you have to say them in? It doesn't really matter. I said, okay, no problem. So I did that, and I just started to notice that, my sales, I have certain residual sales. People come to my websites and buy things, and if I do a mailing to my list, that'll be a big spike in sales. Well, in 3 days, my sales had jumped 42% in 3 days. A pretty significant amount. I hadn't done anything at all to my list, just a sudden spike. It kept going up that whole week, just from doing this, just doing this stuff. So, again, I'll have to keep cleaning on being a skeptic, but the stuff works. And I'm anxious to hear Dr. Len later tell me that the diabetes thing is all bullshit anyway, and it saved me a lot of money on insulin. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. I'm glad you're okay. Yes.
The key is not to have expectations. So when you're doing the cleaning, you're not cleaning for an outcome. You're cleaning to be free. That's the ultimate goal, is to be free. Because it is when you're free, at freedom, that's the address of the divinity. Zero is the address, because zero is the temple. It's the sacred temple that holds the divine. But when you carry trash, you are actually, it's a hatred for the divinity. That's what it actually is when you hold on to the trash. So you, being at zero, you represent the temple, the sacred temple, what Jesus called the kingdom. But if you have trash going, then it's really hatred for yourself and the divinity. I just want that to be clear so I'm not fussing around. Yeah? So the idea is, by just doing these things, I love you, thank you, why? Now I'm going to teach you how to do it so that you can do it without doing it. Yeah. So this is what I would suggest you do, and you should do what works for you. I'm just going to suggest how to do it. Somebody asked me, where did the Ho'oponopono come from? And they were talking about maybe from Samoa or some places like that. I want to tell you that this is what I'm teaching you has come from another galaxy. Another galaxy. Yeah. So it doesn't have an earthly beginning. Just thought you might be interested. Yeah. So let's look at this. So this is zero. This is the whole universe. Universe is based on zero. That's the foundation of the universe. It's interesting that there's a biography of zero. The thing I found fascinating about reading about zero is that the author starts at chapter 0. Anybody ever read a book that starts at 0? And so the chapter is listed as null and void. Chapter 1 is described as nothing doing. Chapter 2 is nothing comes of nothing. Chapter 3, nothing ventured. Chapter 4, the infinite God of nothing. Chapter 5, infinite zeros and infidel mathematicians. Number 6, listen to this, infinity's twin. That's what zero is. So he goes through all this stuff. And then he concludes, if I can find it, this is about the time of the day where I go into zero. So at the end, this is what he says. All that scientists know is the cosmos was spawned from nothing and will return to nothing from whence it came. The universe begins and ends with zero, and that's what I'm trying to sell you. Is that it begins and ends with zero. It began like this, and so I'm going to define for you what religion is. So now you get an inspiration. Inspiration, it will last for so many, whatever its purpose, and then this inspiration will turn into memory. But if you carry over like it's the law, then it becomes a religion, what we call a belief. As opposed to your willingness, no matter what it is, you've heard, you actually got an experience of the divinity talking to you, you're always erasing it. Always, always, always. You're never holding on to anything. Because the wonderful thing about being at zero is there's no right or wrong. Can I say that? There's no right or wrong at zero. So there's no discussion. Once you're at zero, there's nobody's going to carry on a discussion. If you're not at zero, a lot of bullshit will go on. So here you are at zero. And what's so wonderful is that, again, looking at this, turning the mind sideways, when you're at zero, divinity then can come through you. I am the I. I come forth from the void, zero, into light. So now that comes on, you get this inspiration, you're moving, and you keep doing something that then finally becomes a memory, you're stuck with it. So the Ho'oponopono is about constantly cleaning so that you're always coming home to zero. You're not holding on to anything. Never, never. No attachments. So you're constantly coming home to yourself, because you're what Shakespeare called the stage. You're the stage at which either inspiration will take place or garbage in memory. Yeah? So this is the law. These two will affect that. These are the two laws of the universe. And these two laws run zero. So now the only question is which law you're going to choose. This law or this law. And so you don't have to be aware of anything except you're willing to clean. The law will take care. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all else will be added. So that's your job is simply here just to clean nonstop. So we've gone over this, and here's the way you want to do it. So this is you, made from zero. This is the mother part of you, and this is the child part of you. So now a new tool comes up. Did you get Hawaii as a tool before? No. So let's say you got a tool called Hawaii. So the mother says to the child, hey, we got a tool called Hawaii. And remember what the cleaning does. The cleaning sets us free, so the mother's talking to the child. No? The cleaning, if we're willing to do the cleaning, you and I will be free. And at freedom, divinity will move us. So that's all you're doing. So as you do the cleaning, you're talking to this child, because at some point the child will do it for you. At some point, if the child sees that you're consistently taking good care of it, because it's the one that suffers, and you're saying, every time we say Hawaii now, we're doing what we came to do. We're come to set ourselves free from the data. So Shakespeare said, to be or not to be free. And the Ho'oponopono is about giving you the choice of freedom. Either by doing Hawaii, either you have a choice to stay stuck, and most people are stuck, or you can let go and allow divinity to come down, take you back home to zero. Now you're the sacred temple, and because the divinity is behind, already in the zero, then everything just flows until more doo-doo comes up. So the idea is to not stop. Don't stop cleaning. Don't go the way of thinking, coping, managing, asking questions, because it'll keep you stuck. So I'm going to pause, see if you have yes. You're smiling. That's a good start. Yeah.
Thank you. I was just looking at your mother and child
Yes.
analogy
Yeah.
and the way you're explaining it. And
Yeah.
Just reflecting, I've got a 5-year-old daughter, and she's been
Yeah.
very strong-willed. And
Yeah.
since reading the book, I've just constantly, like nearly every sentence,
Yeah.
there's part of it, you know, I love you in it, or thank you. And so much when she doesn't want to do something, it's just, I'm sorry. You know, I don't, you know, just keep telling her, I'm sorry you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And that's all I say. And
Yeah.
how much it's changed everything. Like, I'm not trying to discipline her or find the new discipline or find the new food thing or trying to, you know, to get her to eat or anything. And just watching that analogy, it's just as an analogy of mother and child, but just the, you know, and using the cleaning technique on just that, but just within the relationship, yes, it's so true.
Yeah. So you don't hold on to that. So you have a 5-year-old daughter.
Yes.
So I tell you the best time to talk to somebody. When would be the best time to talk to somebody? No, not when they're young. When they're sleeping. So the best time to talk to anybody is when they're sleeping. So when they're sleeping, why is it the best time to talk to them?
No question.
No question. Yeah. Like, for example, you say to them, I love you when they're awake, and they go, are you sure? Especially if you're from Los Angeles. You didn't say it. You didn't say it with a passion. So better to talk to them while they're asleep. Now, what do you want to tell them when they're asleep? Only 2 things. I love you and thank you. Nothing else. Don't get fancy. Don't get fancy. Really. I love you and thank you will erase whatever's going on in them. If you get fancy like, well, I didn't mean to do it, it's bullshit. You did it. Yeah. So the idea is get them while they're sleeping, and like I did when I worked with this young man who killed his mother at Hawaii State Hospital. So, you know, I stay up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know whether he's sleeping, and I talk to him. Because they had a hard time with him. He spent literally years in seclusion room. And so I talked to him. I said to him, you know, I love you, and I thank you for coming into my life so I can work on those things that I didn't realize I had. Talked to him. Maybe 4 or 5 weeks later, it just all calmed down. You cannot believe what you can do, how destructive you can be, or how peaceful. Because that, you know, that old story or song, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with, yeah. What a bunch of bullshit, though, yeah? Yeah. I mean, utter bullshit, you know. I'm going to watch you guys, because I have the list. I'm going to see whether you're really practicing this stuff. Yeah. I'm going to look at the list, and all of a sudden you hear somebody go,
Getting back to the telling them at night,
Yeah.
it just, it's great because I do that. Yeah. Except then you always want to give her a good kiss on the cheek and tell her over and over again, oh, I hope I don't want to wake her.
Yeah, good for you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Yeah.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. My name's Amy, and I'd like to be a little more clear on the Hawaii tool. So do we just say the word? Is that the same as saying I love you? Just say the word.
Yeah. So here's what I would do.
Thank you.
I would say to the child in me, now listen, we got a new tool. And the tool is called Hawaii. So I'm talking to this child. The tool is called Hawaii. And we're only here to clean. Because if we clean, we're going to be free. So I'm going to do it, and you watch me. And as I do it, you can do it. So you're giving the child permission to do it, and then you're giving the child permission because you've been holding on so long. This is what the child does. It mimics the mother. So now you're beginning to say, let go, and it won't let go because you've been holding on for eons. So now you have to give the child permission. So I said, here's the new tool. Remember, we're only here to set ourselves free from the garbage. And I know I've been holding on, but I give you permission to let go. And Hawaii is one of those tools that we can let go. And so you're talking, constantly talking, until at one time the child will do it for you. That's like Joe Vitale getting up and he's doing the cleaning, but the child was doing it for him. So the child is paramount to your welfare. If you don't get the child over to your side by being consistent, by being simple and clear, by simply saying to the child, I love you, it won't do it. So you have to be clear, you have to be consistent, and you have to fall in love with the child. Yeah. Asking questions is painful to the child. Painful to the max. Because asking questions is not a way to trump memory. It doesn't clean. Anybody else? Yes.
The tool of breathing.
What about breathing?
Breathing, do we do it as we're inspired to do it?
So who would you ask that?
Well, I know I do it frequently.
But who would, don't give me the stuff. Now, who would you ask to, how often should I breathe?
Myself.
Yeah, and you'll be fine. Perfectly fine. Because the thing you don't want to hang around, you don't want to hang around with a bunch of gurus. You don't want to hang on with anybody because the divinity is in you and it knows everything. You don't want to be in the habit of asking somebody a question because you'll go out. Better to ask a question of yourself. Somebody has a question around here? Yes.
You mentioned Alzheimer's earlier today.
Yeah.
My mom and my grandmother my grandmother had Alzheimer's, my mom has Alzheimer's. I would love to know.
Sure. So one of the things that you have to realize, and it's, again, it's like Joe Vitale is saying, it's going to be strange. Some of the things I'm going to tell you is weirdo. I mean, it is, and I don't care whether you do it or not, because I'm going to do it. Yeah. So I'm just going to share it with you, and you either do it or not, and if you don't do it, I love you anyway. So there's a special fern here on this ground, on the property. That's why I'm here. As I was doing the cleaning, I saw this fern come up. It's called fern. I do not know the Hawaiian name for it, but this fern has on it. It has spores behind the leaf, so, and they're all over the place. So you get a leaf, but you got to talk to them. You don't want to be tearing something without getting permission. Yeah, and you don't want to tear something because you'll create pain. So the way to do anything if you're going to work with a plant like this is you say ice blue. So all you have to do is say ice blue is the cleaning color. Ice blue. Now one of the things that I have ice blue is I have here on my band. I did some classes up in Canada, and Canada has the maple leaf, and the maple leaf helps with people who have problems breathing. It's a tool that erases respiratory problems. So if you do anything with plants, you have to talk to them. And before you touch them, you got to remember you're in the presence of God. So before you touch them, you go ice blue. So ice blue, and then you can touch. But you don't want to do anything without doing ice blue first, and you don't want to tear anything without asking for permission. Now, I suspect you would get permission to go after Ramsey. Where is Ramsey? Ramsey, you know what fern I'm talking about on the ground? Yes. Yeah. Can you get one for us, Ramsey? Yeah. Yeah. I don't see. I looked for it outside of here. You'll probably have to go further down. If you would help me with that. So you're talking. You're doing your cleaning, I love you, thank you, but you're talking and you don't want to do anything because this is God. And so there are going to be ferns out there that you can talk to and do the ice blue and then ask it permission for you to take a leaf. Okay? So now you take the leaf of this fern and you brand whatever it is that you're working on. You just brand it. So in your mind you say, let's say let's say Alzheimer's come up in your mind, your mind. So that means you have a memory of whatever it is, and all you do is say, I brand it with Fern. I brand it, whatever the it is, with Fern. And Vinny will know exactly what the it is that has to do with Alzheimer's. No, you won't know. So I wouldn't be fussing around with trying to figure out what the memories are. But this Fern will work on whatever memories which are related to space. So you have space things that have come into the Earth's, whatever you want to call it, and this is the thing, the space thing is related to HIV too. So as you work on this branding, you will work on a couple of things: the Alzheimer's, you'll work on the viruses of HIV, and you'll work on these super viruses that no medicine can undo. You've heard of these super viruses, yeah? Yeah. So please know that every virus has the 3 cells. So let me just make up the cell of HIV, or call it whatever. They've got these 3 stuff. So what we're looking for when we brand it is getting at those memories. We're not getting at the cell. We're getting at those memories. Ramsey, can you just hold it up? So here's what I'm talking about. See it? So, 2 things I want you to be clear. You cannot pass this on to somebody else and say, here's how to work on, because why? Because you're the problem. So this particular Fern, unique to Maui, unique to Sheraton Maui, is really a brand. So a brand is what? It's a logo. And so you're using the logo called this Fern, and I don't know if maybe somebody will research the Hawaiian name, but that brand can brand anything that has to do with super viruses. Super bead. And all you do is take one of these and you put it on. So if I have a mother, I have ancestral stuff that has to do with Alzheimer's, I just take it and I said, okay, whatever is in my ancestry line, I brand it with the Fern. Yes, Ramsey?
Actually, the name of that Fern is...
Can you come and put it up there on the board? That's why Ramsey came. See? Ramsey's going to help us with this stuff. Can you erase the board, ma'am? So we only want that word up there. We want to erase the entire. Now, can you imagine as you touch it, it's undoing the memories in you, HIV, all of these that you brought in. Yeah. And what does that mean? Does it have a meaning, Ramsey? Lao E.
It's Lao what?
Lao.
What?
Yeah. Do it. Erase it again and try it one more time.
Okay.
So I would put this name because then in your mind you can use this name, Hawaiian name. You got to say it correctly. Yeah. You don't say it correctly, it'll come back and bounce against you. So you make sure you learn this word correctly. So let's listen to what he's saying.
Okay, it's Lao Wae.
Lao Ahi.
Lao
E.
Wae. See, the A in this last word is kind of pronounced Wae. This is the Okina, or the glottal stop.
That's the punching sound.
Right. Lao is the leaf, yeah. Like lao. You folks ate lao last night with the green leaf. Well, a lao it's the leaf. So it's a leaf, and this wae is just the type of fern it is, type of leaf it is. And those leaves those ferns were used as decoration. If you go to luau's, like last night, you see all those ferns. When I was growing up, the ferns was all on the table. And it has a strong smell when it's young. I think that is kind of an old leaf. but it has a very strong smell. On the underside, there's little dots, and that's what
Spores.
pores. Yeah, and that's what the doctor was talking about earlier.
So make sure we use this expertise that Ramsey had. So if you're not, hello, raise your hand. So what we want to make sure is that he helps us with the correct pronunciation. So
Yeah,
if you
it's
have one to add, raise your hand. Yeah.
it's Lao Wae. It's like Lao Wae. Yeah. And it's Ho'oponopono. It is not Ho'oponopono. It's Pono. Yeah? It's Ho'oponopono. Not Pono. Yeah? And the doctor is correct because the Hawaiian words have so much meaning that if you pronounce it wrong, it's a totally different context. You take in the word, it's totally changed the meaning.
Let me give you an example. So the word for son is kala, as opposed to kala, which means money or forgiveness. So, let's get it right. Because this is a powerful anti-virus stuff against memories in you and me that deal with HIV and space stuff. The reason why we're having problems dealing with this is because, unbeknownst to us, there's a space element in these viruses that you can't defeat. They can't do it. They reconfigure themselves. Yeah. So if you are still unclear, my friend Ramsey is available. He will only charge you $50 a whack. He has to. Yeah. Okay. So logo. This is the logo for doing away with these super viruses, which are memories in you.
Does this fern have to come from Maui? Can we find it elsewhere?
Like where?
The fern?
Like where?
Wherever we live.
No, you can't. That's why you come to Maui, because it's a Maui fern.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we would like to practice this back at home, then we use the word.
Or you take a picture of it. Or, there's a lot of or. There's different ways you can solve it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Not at all. Yes, sir.
I just want to tell you that I have it in California. It's my backyard.
Yeah, okay. I would still do it on Maui. Yeah. Yeah. But there's something about the Maui strain that will do this super virus stuff and bring it to an end. Yeah. Can you imagine? We didn't have to experiment. Yeah. So, I don't know where to go unless Joe, where's my friend? Joe, do you have anywhere you want to go? Because unless you have a question.
There is a question way in the back.
Well, do you have any of these tools for other kinds of mental illness or depression?
Listen, this fern will do it.
Oh, even mental illness? I'm sorry, ma'am. Yes.
What is mental illness?
Schizophrenia, depression.
No, it's data in you.
Well, that's what the labels are.
I know, but they're bullshit. Did you know that no medication can help what you're talking about? Do you know that in this great country that the sixth cause of death is medication, prescribed medication? So listen, just do it.
Do this.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Remember now, it's not schizophrenia. It's data. Data. If I say to Michael he's schizophrenic, I'm saying that to God. Can you imagine that we label people and like labeling God? We're saying to God, you're schizophrenic. Because now he was born perfect. So what we see in him is not God. We see the crap in us. So to label something autistic and like, we have labeled God, a divine person. So I'm trying to get you to see, listen, you got it like the Hawaiian, the words are so powerful. If you name somebody schizophrenia, it's going to come back and hit you. I tell you, it'll, I'm sorry?
The disability system hinges on
No,
the
no,
label.
you hinge on it. You're maintaining it by saying that. We can undo it. But you're the one that's saying the system doesn't exist except in your mind as data. Isn't that so? I mean, we're saying this is the system, but we're saying that that's in ourselves. But now we can undo that. Really. So you don't have to deal with schizophrenia, HIV. You don't have to deal with these. But the only question is who's going to be responsible. Shall I read again? Anybody, everybody, and somebody. Yeah. I'm just trying to be as straightforward because when you leave this class, you're either going to be 100% responsible or you're not. And most of you have doubts, you know. Really. Yes, sir.
Cleaning when we're asleep, or was I asleep?
I'm sorry?
Cleaning when we are asleep.
Yes. You can do it by talking to this child in you and say to the child, here's how the cleaning works, and when I sleep, go for it. And it will do it. Yeah, you can teach the glass how to do it too. Did you know that? This thing is real. You can teach the glass how to clean. So in our house, everything cleans. Glass, cars, the house, the washing machine, the dryer, everything cleans. It's learned how to do it because most of the time we're goofy and we won't be 100% responsible, but they can take care of themselves. Yeah. Anything else before? I don't know what else to say to you. Maybe I'm
How do we teach the glass to clean?
the same way you would teach a person. I mean, what makes a glass different from a person? They have feelings. You know, for example, you may be using, you don't know who used this glass before. This glass has a subconscious and it holds all the memories of everything that, even the manufacturer. Like as I'm looking at this particular glass, this manufacturer had financial problems. And you're drinking from a glass which a manufacturer had financial problems. But, you know, if you clean before you do anything, you'll be fine. And then if you cannot be teaching anybody. You have to only teach those things that belong to you. Yeah. Like in this room, I had an opportunity to talk to the room only because I said to the room, we don't want you to go crazy while we're in here. Because there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on there. Yeah. So you can talk to the glass like you would talk to our friend here. Yeah. Anybody add or actually I'm done unless they go on.
Am I on? We're talking about cleaning and clearing, and some of you have come up here earlier and saw some cleaning and clearing paintings. And Craig, I'm going to call on you in a minute, so just get prepared. I did refer to earlier that I went through a 3-month cancer scare in the beginning of the year. I also had an emergency appendectomy at the end of January. And friends of mine who deeply cared about me included Amy Perrine, and she made a original painting for me. She had taken the Zero Limits workshop. She had heard about what cleaning and clearing devices were, and she knew that the Blue Bonnet was a cleaning tool in the same way the fern that he's talking about is, and he had explained it to us at that time. And Amy wanted to do something for me. She wanted to help. She wanted to heal. She wanted to make some sort of contribution. So she sat and made a original painting of the Blue Bonnet, and as she was painting, she kept saying, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. So she was cleaning herself. Now, she was working on herself as she's doing that, but she was also infusing that painting with that particular energy. And when I got home from the hospital, Craig and Amy and their kids, they all came over and they presented the painting to me. As it actually turned out, what they presented to me was a print of the original painting, which they'd done by mistake. And I told them that I actually wanted the original, and I wanted them to sign it. I wanted her to sign it to me. And Craig, just like an hour ago, brought this to me. And because they had given away the first print, they numbered this one 0 of 100. So this is painting 0. It's the original painting, but we called it 0, so I was able to sneak in under the first one. And she signed it. And so this is her Bluebonnet. Now, a Bluebonnet is a cleaning tool, and she went ahead and made prints of this, which I think is at healingpaintings.com. No.
Healingpainting.com.
Healing Painting, without no S, without an S. Healingpainting.com. And she has several of them now. There's some prints of some of the other ones, including strawberries. He mentioned earlier about strawberries being a cleaning tool. And I wanted Craig to add anything that I might have overlooked here about the paintings and what's up here to look at.
Yeah, there actually are. We're going to be handing around a. Actually, do you want to carry that around? Yeah. They're little miniatures of some of her paintings. And the idea now is that if you pull out one, it's a gift. And whichever card you pull out, see what it means to you. Okay, but it is a cleaning tool like Dr. Len has been talking about here today. And so each of you should be able to get one. And Lisa is coming around with the container of that. The idea behind the healing paintings, as Joe just said, is that they are created from her inspiration. So she has had a number of different ideas and different inspirations of, there's a strawberry, there's chocolate, and the Bluebonnet, and butterflies actually is one of my favorites. And you'll find that there are actually posters up front there on those tables. We were trying to find a way to hang them on the walls here, but we haven't figured out the technology of that just yet, so we'll keep cleaning on that. But we also have some prints, and she has some greeting cards and some jewelry and stuff. So, if you have any questions about that, you can ask me. I may have some for display. But right now, I'd love for you all to be able to just pick a card, look at it, see what comes up for you, and, of course, clean on whatever comes up. But this is a gift from Amy Rousseau at healingpainting.com.
And I also wanted to point out, since we're talking about cleaning devices, and there's another one and another person who's making some, and Suzanne, I'm about to be looking at you. Suzanne has created a website, Intentional Treasures, intentionaltreasures.com, and she's created some different products that are all designed to be healing tools and healing additions for cleansing. Would you speak about that for a second?
Oh, sure.
Would you mind?
Basically, my site just consists of anything that inspires me and moves me. When I hear Joe speak, or Dr. Len is always coming out with these incredible cleaning tools that whatever moves me and inspires me, I end up just finding the perfect person at the perfect time to create really beautiful things, pendants and cleaning eraser wands. And so intentionaltreasures.com is the site, and Lisa Coltman, who's walking around the room, she's one of the beautiful artists who supports the product lines. And thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, just let me know.
Okay, and I also, so it just seems appropriate to go ahead and mention it. We have a couple gifts that people have brought in.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and mention what those two are and how they can collect them?
I do want to say that the chocolate painting that Amy Perrine did, Craig, is it at the front of the room? She actually created that because Dr. Hulan talked about how, actually I'm going to read from this because it's a little much to remember, but he said that drinking hot chocolate releases error memories in the subconscious that put gain first as opposed to doing something because it is divinely correct to do. Drinking hot chocolate releases error memories that cause violence in relationships, smoothing things out so that relationships are not about gain but about love. And so we have somebody who was so kind and donated some chocolate packages. And Craig, if you wouldn't mind passing those around to people, there's a pile. Hello? There's a pile of 3 boxes back there. And so these are Belgium chocolates. It keeps going out on me.
Yeah, just keep talking.
They're Belgium chocolates, and they are dark chocolate with no refined sugars, no caffeine, and they're
You almost
sweetened.
said no calories. I heard you.
They are actually low in fat, but they're sweetened with agave nectar and acai berries from the Amazon forest. And they're donated by Beth McClellan, and her site is mychicchocolateboutique.com. And so other chocolate healing tools, again, is the chocolate painting that Amy Perrine did at healingpainting.com. And then I've got some chocolate jewelry at my website, intentionaltreasures.com.
She's going to talk about one more thing, right? The silk thing, or you want to wait?
What do you feel is...
She has a question, so let me just
Okay.
give you a little break and give it to her. Catherine, did you want to go ahead and ask?
So, how do you know if it's a cleaning tool? I mean, I know the story about the logo on your car and Dr. Hulen saying that that was a cleaning tool. So, how does that happen?
Mm-hmm. She's asking, how do you know if it's a cleaning tool? How do you know that chocolate is a cleaning tool? How do you know that Akua is a cleaning tool? Don't walk away.
Can you tell me why you're asking? That's something that you could be cleaning on? I'm sorry?
The reason I'm asking is I'm just wondering if...
No, you're not wandering. It's data playing. You're stuck.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So now if you clean, you can get your own tool. But if you're stuck in the data, you'll go nowhere. Yeah.
Thank you.
When you're cleaning, it comes from inspiration, and you feel that it's correct, is the best way that I would answer it. Before you go on a chocolate high, Suzanne has one more thing to talk about. And to give you, it's another gift.
There's somebody else who donated some gifts to this group for this weekend, and what they are, and those things will be coming around soon, they're called Silk Intention Energizers, and they serve as a coaster that will infuse your drink with the healing message of blessings. So that's another, if you don't have time to make blue solar water, it's a good thing to do. Just fill up your glass and put it on the healing coaster. And those were donated by Diana Wesley Bay with healingsilks.com. And the other thing I wanted to point out that was missed earlier was that the name tags are actually made of beechwood, and the healing spiritual property of beechwood can aid in finding answers to mysteries and gaining knowledge of any type, which seemed really fitting to what we do here this weekend. So that was why we chose that wood as opposed to anything else.
Now the idea is you must not take everything lock, stock, and barrel, that you get a chance to clean to see what's right for you. It's very important to do that, to clean to see what's right for you. So they're sharing this with you because it's wonderful that you have an opportunity to check for yourself. So how do you check? You just do your cleaning. So you have these products sitting in front of you, you get a chance to make amends with them. Yeah, because you know, we don't give credit to a little bug. There's a little bug that makes the difference in the chocolate. Just one little bug that may be almost microscopic, but nobody mentions that little bug. Yeah. So the story is you do your cleaning and see what works for you. You want to always check yourself. Even the tools like the blue water, blue soul, any of these, you want to check it yourself and not take it lock, stock, and barrel. No matter what I say, you should check. And I'm sure our friend Joe would like for you to check too. But the idea is you become 100% responsible. Okay? Anybody else before we go home? Oh.
There's nothing that will do better or be more honest to you than your body. I'm a chiropractic physician, I'm an applied kinesiologist, and I'd like to have any volunteer, I don't care who it is, Just want to show you what happens with this. Bruce, is there anything wrong with your shoulder?
No, sir.
Hold this up.
I wasn't paid to say that.
Hold tight. Okay. And Bruce doesn't like to lose. He's a pretty strong guy. Now I'm going to check something here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch his fingers. I have no idea what's going to go on here. And hold this arm up. Hold tight. What happened, Bruce?
You created a fun burning sensation in my bicep.
In other words, we stretch his ligaments a little bit, and that is a sign, it's a very quick sign of a screening for what we call hypoadrenia, or low adrenaline function. So, Joe, would you get the blue bonnet, your blue bonnet?
This is the original, so please handle with care.
I don't want to touch it. I want you to just touch it here.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to stretch your fingers again. Hold this up, Bruce. Okay, now, look at the blue bonnet. Hold tight. Was there a difference?
Yes.
Okay, you can feel the difference.
Good.
Okay. The pattern on here, the energy from here, the blessing on here, made the difference here. And your body won't lie to us. So that's all these things. I was checking the people on either side of me for looking at the strawberries and the other thing. And these all are extremely wonderful healing products. So thank you, Joe.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Joanne, why don't you come up here? Joanne, come. So tell us why you're here.
I'm here to clean.
Oh. And then?
That's it.
So what is it you suppose you got out of today?
This really just a beautiful feeling in me that I'm in the right place, and just feeling grateful really and in all that the learning that I continue to get, or I just feel better and better every day, and grateful.
Do you want to ask her any questions? A live body. Yeah.
I'm not going to say bullshit. Oh, then I lied then. No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Joe, please. Anything you want to finish up on?
We're going to finish in a few minutes. Do you have any final questions for today? We'll have
right here
at 7. Yes, just right there.
I thought you both should choose one.
Sure. It's like the bingo night or something here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, love you. Yeah.
We have dinner at 7 on the lawn, unless it's raining. I haven't been outside. And we resume tomorrow morning at the same time, after breakfast in the morning, same place. But I want to make sure, do you have questions? Do you have concerns? Do you have unfinished business? Do you have a sharing? Do you have something that you would like to say? Here's your chance.
Yeah, because we're hoping you're not going to talk to us after today. We really would like to rest.
Oh, the hands are going up now.
Now, the other thing is that this room needs to rest. So it would be very nice if you, as soon as we're done, you vacate the room so the room can rest and catch its breath for tomorrow.
Can I tell them what kind of card you pulled?
Sure.
I just saw a glimpse of the card he pulled out of Lisa's tray, and he pulled love, Love. I pulled a bird in flight on his way to Maui, I guess.
So any questions or comments?
Yes, I had a question regarding space. You said memories related to space. Is that a reference to outer space, inner space, or what sort of space?
It's bullshit space.
Bullshit space.
I just want to share one more thing. Forgive me for not standing. My knees aren't perfect yet. We're working on it. Joe wrote in some place that I read in all the emails you send or whatever about how you decided that Wimberley was going to be where you were going to settle. I think that the one thing that I've really learned over the last 2 weeks of really concentrating on this is to just stay very open. I got a call the day after I spoke with Suzanne from somebody in Bandera, Texas, who said to me, "Are you Rabbi Rain?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "My father died last night, and no rabbi will come and bury him because he didn't belong to a congregation." I said, "Sure he did. He belonged to the world. He belonged to a congregation." So he said, "Would you come to Bandera, Texas? I live in Austin." I had no idea how far Bandera was. It didn't look too big on the map. So I said, "Yeah, I'll come to do the funeral." And I got in the car, and 4 or 5 hours later, I finally wound up in Bandera in enough time to do the funeral. And then I had to come back to Austin, got terribly lost. I think I was on the road for some 10 hours or something. But this is what I learned. The one thing that I really miss about living in Texas is that the leaves don't change. Of course, there really aren't that many trees, but besides that, the leaves don't change. But I was open to going to that funeral, and I have no idea why I said I would go. Do you know that the leaves change in Bandera, Texas? They actually turn crimson and gold just like they do in New York and Vermont. So that is the gift of this whole thing, to just wonder in awe every day.
So I'm saying to you, it's very important to be 100% responsible and making sure you're talking to things, because everything ought to be involved in their decision making. And then I would do the cleaning, particularly I would do the ice blue, because anytime you destroy anything, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine had an old tree, and she decided, well, the tree wasn't alive, we're going to cut it. So she cut the tree. That night, the windows rattled. I mean, they rattled. And as she was talking to me on the line because she was frightened, I could see that what happened, there were fairies living in that tree. And she cut the tree down.
Wow.
So they got even. Bang, bang, bang. So I would talk to things, do my cleaning, and then kind of ask permission and say, when would it be okay for me to start doing this?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. One more, please. I want to go home. Only one more. All right, tomorrow.
Thank you. You gave us some specific healing tools for respiratory illness, the maple leaf and the fern, for superviruses. Will you be giving us more so that I know we can get our own inspiration, like for cancer and other things?
I think you got a lot, don't you? Yeah. I mean, you're talking about pharmaceutical companies do not have the ability to work on these super viruses. You're getting a tool that will undo it. I would think that's a lot, too. Anything else, Gil?
No, I say we should break. We will see you for dinner on the lawn and tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.